in every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, and every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you, just for you. In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, and every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you, just for you. morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you, just for you. In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, and every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, got something for you, just for you.
Right. Hello.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to our live Q&A. Anyone who is new here, welcome. If you're returning, hello. So just going to quickly explain what our live Q&As are for anyone that is new here. What our live Q&As are is something that we do every single Monday, same time, same platforms. So we're on a couple different platforms to try and reach all of our audience and reach as many people as we can. And this is a space for you to come with all your plant questions, any problems that you're having, if there's anything that you're curious about, if you're about to start a garden project and you want some recommendations, anything and everything related to gardening, this is where you can come with those questions. And it's super simple. All you need to do is comment your question, and then I'm going to ask it to Chris and he's going to answer it in live time. And so if you happen to have any follow-up questions, if you want any more kind of specific details, you're more than welcome to comment again, and then we can follow up that question. So it's really helpful, and you're going to be getting advice from someone who's been working in this industry for decades and has both hands-on knowledge and theoretical knowledge. So everything that you need to have a proper answer. Just before we get started though, while I let people type up their questions and comment it below, do you want to talk about what's happening in the nursery right now, Chris?
Actually, the most exciting thing, and yesterday was a horrible bleak day in the nursery, weather-wise, and we were flat out busy. There were crowds of people here, and the reason is that this next month or so could be quite cold and miserable, and we've got 6 fans to keep busy. And so what we're doing, so we can keep busy and keep taking orders and keep doing things, we're giving away a free weeping cherry when you spend over $300. And basically the weeping cherries are sort of 5 to 6 foot tall, depending on which size you choose, and they come in white and pink. And lots of people are coming in, buying a few plants and getting that feature tree for the middle of the front yard for free. I mean, it's an amazing offer, and it looks like it's going to keep us really busy through the winter, because lots and lots of people are going for that free weeping cherry. So it's a great way to keep our vans running and keep everything going. So that's our big news, is the free weeping cherry. But the other thing I noticed was lots of people came in for bare rooted. We've got quite a range of bare root at the moment, and there was lots of people are just, getting, a little bit of bare-rooted silver birch or Japanese maple or some of the grafted trees or some of the bigger maples. So on the weekend, the bare root was busy, and particularly the bare-rooted roses. People are going crazy. They're buying armfuls of bare-rooted roses. So that's what's happening in our nursery at the moment. So it is cold, it is miserable, but people are coming in and taking advantage of our free weeping cherry and buying a bit of bare-rooted.
Amazing. So we're going to start off with the first question. How to make a holy basil grow better?
Ooh, they like a bit of warmth, and really that's a plant that you should, if you're doing it outside, you really don't want it outside till late September. So right now you'd put it in a sunny window and maybe use a bit of liquid fertilizer. Could be good to get it going. A bit of Charlie Carp or something. So a bit of liquid fertilizer. Liquid fertilizer is interesting because when you put fertilizer on the ground, for it to go down through the ground, get to the roots, then come up through the plant, could take months. People don't realise that, but liquid fertilizer is fantastic. It only takes seconds to come into the top of the plant. If you put it on top of the plant and the leaves soak it up, within seconds you've got those nutrients in the top of the plant. So I'd use a bit of liquid fertilizer and I'd put it in a nice sunny window.
And just to follow up from there, do you recommend something like humidifier to keep the warmth intact?
You couldn't go wrong with a bit of warmth, and a humidifier would be wonderful for your holy basil.
Amazing. Next question is from Kate, that says, thanks for your time this morning, Chris. Following on from the mood board, what soil types do the silver birch and cherry okami need?
They would like they're happy in slightly acidic soil, and what they'd like is a nice loamy soil. So if you're going in the clay parts of your property, you might build up mix in some nice loamy, move a bit of loamy soil around and mix it in through the clay and make a nice mound of good mixed soil. Both birches and cherries tend to be a bit shallow rooted and want to have their roots, so a long, low, wide mound would be the answer.
Amazing. Next question is, I live on the Victorian coastline and I planted lily-pilly, but they were significantly burnt by wind and salt. Can you recommend a native plant that is wind and salt resistant?
Yeah, Myoporum. There's a Myoporum, I can't think of the second name, but there's a bush Myoporum that grows along the southern coast of Australia, right through South Australia, and it grows on the coast there, and it starts with Myoporum. It's like insular, I think, Myoporum insular, and it's a really good hardy plant that'll grow 2.5-3 meters tall and take right on the beach. Like it's the first. On the southern coast of Australia, it'll be the first bush that grows up facing the sea. And so Myoporum insular, very, very good salt-tolerant native plant.
Great. Next question is, we have a retaining wall in our backyard and have agaves and some palm trees that are not doing so well. The neighbours have their lily-pillies growing as a hedge. How to solve this problem?
Right, so it could be that the lily-pillies, so basically if you've got a lily-pilly hedge next door and you've got your stuff is not going so well, what it is, the lily-pillies are probably very well established and they're probably taking all the water and all the nutrients, and so what you need to do is you need to up your waters and your irrigation and your nutrients to your plants to counteract. So you've got to give them their water and fertilizer plus enough for the lily-pillies, because the lily-pillies, I'd say, are taking it all. That's what I think is going wrong. So more fertilizer and more water.
Great. Let's see. The next question is, what are signs of overwatering versus underwatering?
There's probably overwatering there's another way of talking about overwatering. What you could say is under drainage. So what happens is that when you've got poor drainage, you can end up with the water sitting around too long, and what actually goes wrong is that the organic matter in the soil starts to rot down. And then what it does is, as it rots down, it's sucking up the oxygen, and then what happens is your plant, as it sucks up the oxygen, your plant is unable to, the roots start to fail on it, because the roots need oxygen to stay alive. So the roots actually start to die, and they're not so much dying from the water. Doesn't really kill anything. It's the abundance of water and the water not draining away, rotting the organic matter and sucking up the oxygen. Now, how that tends to look is that when you underwater for a long time, like say if a plant is, say for instance you go away on holidays and you leave the kids to water your plants, and they don't, and it's so a well-watered plant that suddenly is without water will tend to have its tips shrivel up. But if you water your plant regularly but not quite enough water, they tend to dry and yellow from the bottom. And then where you have overwatering, which I would also call under-draining, where you have overwatering or under-draining, it looks a lot like plants start to die from the bottom up. And so it looks a lot like prolonged underwatering, because what's happening is the roots are dying and they're not sucking up water like they used to. So the plant's actually drying out even though there's too much water there. And so what I do is, when I see a plant that's tending to lose leaves or kind of go off from the bottom up, I tend to dig first before I make a decision. I dig and I try and find out, is this being overwatered or underwatered, because it looks kind of the same. And the only way you can really clarify it is if you dig down. And if you dig down deep beside the root system and you start to find wet soil and a bit of a stink, that means that you've got either overwatering or a lack of drainage, depending on how you want to view it. And that's because the technical term is that you've got an anaerobic situation where you've got too much water and it's rotting away the organic matter, and the oxygen's disappeared, and the root system of the plant is dying. And that's when you'd have to look at drainage or look at backing off on your watering. But always, I'm amazed how overwatering and underwatering tends to look the same, and the only way you can really work out which one it is by digging a hole.
Yeah, amazing. Next question is, do you have any suggestions for indoor Ivy League hydroponic plants to grow better?
So this is indoor
Ivy League hydroponic plants.
Right, okay. So what you need there is you could go to one of those hydroponic shops, make sure that you've got the right light and the right lighting, and then the right nutrients circulating in the water, and you should be fine.
Yeah. Next question is, can I use grow bags as a pot for miniature citrus long term?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, use a good size grow bag. Like if you were going to go long term, you'd want a 45-50 litre one would be able to keep a miniature citrus in it for many years.
Amazing. Next question is, how do I choose the right type of soil for different plant species?
So one of the problems is that what is being sold as soil, in the landscape yards is normally, at best, is pretty poor quality, and at worst is terrible quality and shouldn't even be called soil. There's people just mixing sawdust and coal dust and industrial waste and various different things and calling it soil. And so basically you need to shop around a bit for your soil. And one thing is, if you pick it up and it's got so much chicken manure in it and you smell it, if it burns my nose, I reckon it needs a lot of dilution. But the main thing, I think, is that if you say you're doing a garden bed and you're going to add some bought soil to it, what I'd do is I'd cultivate my garden bed, add my bought soil, then try and mix the soil at least 50-50, the old and new soil together with the 50-50, so that if there is too much fertilizer or too much industrial waste or too much of anything in there, by mixing it 50-50, you're diluting that too much. You're diluting it by half at least. And then often what I'll do is when I'm putting in nice expensive plants into bought soil, or I like to mix the bought soil with the old soil. I will then right around the base of the plant, right in the immediate vicinity of the roots, I'll use some potting mix and dilute. So the perfect situation is to mix your old and new soils together, dilute it by 50-50, and then mix some potting mix in around the roots and dilute your mix by 50-50, so that in the end you've got quite a small diluted amount of outside soil mixed in, and you've got, because it tends to be somewhere, the stuff you buy tend to be somewhere between poor and terrible. And if you just need a little bit of soil, then just buy a good quality potting mix and use that, or get your good quality potting mix and mix it with a bit of your garden soil, 50-50 say, and you'll have really quite good soil when you need just a small amount of soil. And then the stuff you buy by the truckload to fill up your garden, try and dilute it at least 50-50 with your soil, and then dilute it a bit further with a bit of potting mix around the root system.
Amazing. Next question is, I want to move a lime planted in the ground. Should I do it now or wait until spring?
Almost spring. I reckon end of August, first week in September, dig it up, nice big root ball, take the foliage back by half, and make sure you put it into a well-drained spot. Don't park it into an overly wet spot.
Amazing. Next one is, for Ficus pumila, are you able to just plant them in the ground as is alongside your fence, or does it require a specific potting mix?
No, they're a very, very hardy, versatile plant. A little bit of good potting mix and a bit of fertilizers might help it grow, but really you can plant them in pretty much anything and put them near the wall, and they can feel the wall and they'll grow towards it and they'll grow up the wall without you doing too much at all.
Amazing. Next question is, how do I help my pygmy date palm overcome transplant shock?
I would, depending on how badly I damaged the roots when I was doing it, but say it wouldn't hurt you to get rid of 2/3 of the foliage on it. Don't go overwatering. Get rid of 2/3. Start cutting from the oldest foliage at the lower part of the trunk. Cut off the old foliage and come up towards the newer foliage, and basically get rid of 2/3 of the foliage. And then a really good product is your sea salt. So when you don't water it too much. You don't want wet feet, but when you do water it, use a bit of sea salt. So a bit of sea salt and removal of at least 2/3 of the foliage, and you should be on your way.
Amazing. The next question is, what are some good plants for getting colour into my garden right now?
Okay, that's a question I like. The best things, the number, look, here it is, a short list. Nandina, and things like your Nandina, your Moonbay and your Dwarf Nandina, fabulous source of colour. Then you've got your Kaleidoscope, that gives you a beautiful gold colour right at this time of year, and all of these are going to give you year-round colour. Then the next thing would be your Coprosma, and you've got all different colours. You've got here in the nursery at the moment, we've got yellow leaf Coprosma, and we've got pink, and we've got red, and we've got orange. The Tequila Sunrise is kind of orangey, so lots of different colours in Coprosmas, and Coprosmas are a fabulous source of colour. And Coprosmas are so tough, you can grow them almost anywhere, in frost, up against the beach, up on the roof of a big tall building, or any windswept, doesn't matter. Coprosmas are fantastic. Then you've got your Laura Petalums, and probably the best colour is one called Plum Gorgeous. So Plum Gorgeous Laura Petalum. And then something I really like is your Silver Helichrysum. We call it licorice, and has lovely little round leaves with a kind of a silver, kind of like a almost furry silver coating over the leaf. Very pretty and very robust. And then something like, and so a bit of silver, if you're going in for things like coprosmas or nandinas. A bit of silver is great. And then the other really good silver one is your lamb's ear. Lamb's ear, great source of silver colour, beautiful texture, lovely plant. So running back through that again, you've got your nandinas, dwarf and moonbay. You've got your coprosmas, and you've got your, I left something out there, didn't I? Coprosmas, and then you've got your lovely silvers like your Heliochrysum licorice and your lamb's ears. And of course your Loropetalums, and there's lots of different Loropetalums with perhaps the best colour is in the Plum Gorgeous.
Amazing. Next question is, are there any plants that deter possums from visiting my yard?
There's things that possums don't like, which and something that I've heard works is neem oil. Like neem oil has a horrible taste, and you can buy that out of Bunnings and use that as a spray on things that they're eating. But I don't really like. I know that I've had people complaining about them eating any sort of fruit tree or rose. They love, and that's what I'm always hearing is what they love. They seem to love citrus, and they seem to love lily pillies and ficus. So you'd have to experiment things with an odd smell or flavour. Like it'd be interesting to try something like sweet viburnum. Sweet viburnum has a very odd sort of a smell to it, but often your very strongly flavoured things like your lavenders, your rosemaries, something like your viburnum with a very, very odd smell would be the sort of thing that you'd try. And when you're being assaulted by a kangaroo or deer or something like that, it's often good to, rather than buy a big lot of something, is buy one or two of each thing that you're thinking of and give them a go and see what they're eating.
Yep, amazing. Next question is, what are some good ground cover plants that help suppress weeds?
I reckon that prostrate rosemary is one of the best. Prostrate rosemary really, it's quite an aggressive grower, covers a large area and makes a good thick covering on the ground. Another one is your cousin it. Again, beautiful thick dense covering on the ground, blankets the weeds right out. And then another real toughie would be your creeping saltbush. So creeping saltbush is very, very good. And then I reckon your Carpogrotus is a good thick cover, aggressive sort of cover. And then another one would be your chalkstick. Chalkstick, great thick cover. And those last two will grow in almost any soil, in almost any situation with complete neglect. But all of those are pretty tough, and probably the pick of the lot is still the prostrate rosemary.
Amazing. Next
and prostrate rosemary are covered in lovely light blue flowers right at the moment, and they flower for months and months and months. And I've noticed that when you plant up an area of them, they seem to cover that area very quickly. And another good one is your Myoporum, and probably the pick of them being Urena. Lovely thick covering across the ground, grows in almost any soil and makes a real thick mat and really blankets out the weeds.
Next question. Next question is, plans to stop cats coming into my yard?
Well, I don't know of anything that repels cats, but one sneaky idea I had is that cats are really, really attracted by catnip, not catmint, but catnip, and they come for miles and they have orgies in your garden if you put some catnip. Now you're thinking, how could that get rid of cats? Well, what you could do is go around to all your neighbours and give them a couple of nice free plants of catnip, and the cats will go from your place to someone else's place and go berserk there.
Next question.
That's a bit of a silly answer, but I don't know of anything that really does repel cats.
Next question is, my plum tree has started showing an infestation of scales. What can I use to get rid of the pests?
What's that?
An infestation of scales? I don't know if that's a mistype.
Scales, right, okay. So that would be, your Confidor is a really good systemic spray that gets rid of things that are eating that particular plant. So you spray it on that particular plant and it gets rid of them. And that comes under various brand names. We have it here in our nursery as Conguard, and you could get that from our nursery, or you'd have to go to Bunnings won't have it because they don't have any of the stronger poisons, but that'd be something you could get from some hardware stores and chemical shops, would be Conguard. But any sort of so what you want is a systemic spray that kills the thing that eats that plant, because it could be hard to get a poison onto or into your scale. But if you put a systemic spray on, like Confidor, and Confidor comes under all different brands like Confidor, Confidan, Conguard. It's all the same thing, but different people make it and sell it under different names. But something like that, the scale is living by sucking the sap of your thing, and the Conguard will kill it.
Amazing. Next question is best feature tree / plants for shaded area.
I'll often use Japanese maples, and what's great about Japanese maples, there's lots of variants, and in a shaded area you don't want to use the red leaf variants because the red tends to fade a bit in the shade. But something like a Senkaki maple or any of the sort of gold or green kind of Japanese maples would be a good feature tree in the shade. And I'm just thinking what else you could use. Something like a what do you call it? A lily of the valley tree is a lovely tree to put in the shade, and they have beautiful white, fragrant lily of the valley flowers in late spring. So lily of the valley tree would be a nice evergreen tree to put in a shady spot, or even one of the bigger growing Pyrrhus. There's a Pyrrhus forestii, which has amazing new red growth and beautiful white flowers and lovely dark green foliage, beautiful colourful tree. And that's a lovely small tree that really thrives in the shade. So that's a Pyrrhus forestii, a lily of the valley tree, or one of your Japanese maples, particularly the ones with sort of goldy or greeny kind of foliage.
Great. Next question is, I live a street back from the beach. Will a lily-pilly hedge be suited to the salt air?
It depends which beach. If it's one of the bay, if it's one of the sort of where most Melburnians are on the eastern side of the bay there, yeah, sure. And if you went for something like a weeping lily pilly, no worries at all. Or even a sublime lily pilly, nice hard glossy coating. But if you are on a sort of like a more of an ocean beach or something like that, probably not. And I'm just thinking if you were in a really badly exposed spot, you'll find that olives are really quite good, and if it's super duper exposed, I was saying
they're in Werribee South.
Werribee South, that's Werribee South. That's starting to get a bit more salt affected there, Werribee South. I think if you went for one of the hardier lily pillies, or even a Photinia, or quite a hardy one like the Sublime, I think you'd be fine. So something like a Sublime lily pilly or a Photinia robusta head should be fine there.
Great. Next question is, what size pot do I need for gardenias long term, and do you sell pots as well?
Yeah, we have quite a nice pot display with some modern pots and some more classic sort of pots. You know, really quite a large area of pots, I think, say you're going for Gardenia Florida, which is a medium-sized gardenia, I think something long-term, I think like long term, probably a 40 centimetre pot with really good quality potting mix. We actually stock a gardenia potting mix here, which would be the best, and so a 40 centimetre, like a 30 centimetre would keep you going for many, many years, but a 40 centimetre would pretty much be right for life.
Amazing. Next question is, I live in the city and rats are everywhere. I heard from some that certain strong-smelling plants will help deter them. Is this true? I can't find any reputable studies of this.
It's possible, but certainly no one's really tried it. But the sort of things that you do would be things like lavender, rosemary, society garlic. I've heard that snakes don't even like society garlic. When you touch it, it leaves the smell on you. And so something like your society garlic, it's likely that rats would tend to avoid it, I'd say. But I've not got any real data on that. But you'd use rosemary, lavender, society garlic would be all plants that would give off a really strong fragrance and would be likely to deter your rats.
Yeah. Next question is, how do seasonal changes impact plant care routines?
Plant
care routines.
Plant care routines. Right, okay. So in the wintertime, you might have a little bit of, like, in autumn and spring, you've got is the sort of times that you'd be pruning. It's also time and autumn, spring, and winter, or late autumn, spring, and winter, is a time where you might be digging up and dividing perennials, moving plants, digging up and moving plants, while they're dormant. And then in spring and summer, it's more like fertilizing, watering, maybe deadheading the flowers. So it does change through the seasons. Like, this is a time of year, or in the next 6 or 8 weeks is a time where you might be very much into planting, into digging, into moving, into dividing. And then as you go into your warmer weather, it's more about watering, fertilizing, taking off dead flowers, shaping, trimming. So it does vary through the seasons.
Amazing. Next question is, what do you think are some of the best spring flowering trees?
Spring flowering trees. That's an interesting question. Actually, I'm expecting in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which really, it's kind of like a herald of spring, we're going to have the Prunus bleriana, and we've done a number of videos on that, and that's a beautiful double pink flower that's fragrant. And because it comes really early, it's kind of like a pre-spring tree. Because it comes really early, what I love is that the flowers seem to last for about 6 weeks, whereas once you get into the warm part of spring, a lot of flowers only seem to last for sort of like 7 or 9 or 10 days or something like that. So really, the Prunus bleriana is really, really hard to beat. And then I reckon you get into your deciduous magnolias, and we did a beautiful video on a white one last year, Denudata, fabulous plant. But I kind of, in a way, although Denudata is incredibly beautiful, it's a bit rare and a bit unusual. I really like just your classic early pink, the one that appears first all over Melbourne, with masses of pale pink flowers. And I love it because it's part of the Melbourne culture, to have that beautiful early pink magnolia. And so that's a really, really good spring blossom. And then in the cherries, my favourite one is a little bit unusual, called Shimizu Sakura. And what Shimizu Sakura does is that the new buds are quite a rich pink, the newly opened flowers are a nice pale pink, and the old flowers are white. So you get this lovely triple colour, but you get this amazing density of flowers. It's the heaviest blossoming cherry around. So really, really wonderful. So they would be so Shimizu Sakura, the pink and white, the dark pink, the light pink, and the white. Lovely show. And I love that multicoloured blossom, where you've got a mixture of colours in your blossom, and then your Prunus bleriana for that early, long-lasting double pink with a nice fragrance, and then I think your Solangiana magnolia, not because it's the most beautiful magnolia, because it's everywhere, and it's part of our culture. It's a Melbourne classic.
Great. And just letting everyone know, we only have 10 minutes left in this live Q&A. So if you have any questions, make sure you get them in now before we finish up for the day, and we won't be going live again for a Q&A until next Monday.
Have we got many questions up on the board?
We have a couple, so
okay.
If you still have a shot at having your question answered.
Yeah, I'll try and go quick at the end, okay?
No worries. Next question is from Kate. What is a good, pretty deciduous tree that doesn't mind having wet feet and to look nice when many are planted along 100 metres?
And try a nashiki. Like, one of the best ones would be a nashiki willow. It wouldn't mind if it was occasionally flooded. Another one, more classic looking thing, would be a Black River birch. Black River birch, planted in a bit of a mound, let it grow down into the water, but it'll take lots and lots of wet feet. So Black River birch or nashiki willow, fabulous for a bad wet spot. And it seems to be that we're starting to rain a bit now, and people are finding those wet spots now, whereas you couldn't find your wet spot a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Next question is, what's a good screen plant along fence line that won't lose leaves and screen neighbours, please?
One of the best is like there's all sorts of lily pillies and ficuses that are coming to fashion, but you know, it's hard to beat the old Photinia robusta. Photinia robusta, that was the most popular hedge when I was a kid. It's not, and people are going for all sorts of other hedges now, but when I'm up against a tough situation or a person that's really in a hurry, I tend to resort to Photinia robusta. And Photinia robusta, it's been a popular hedge in Melbourne for the last 100 years, and it has beautiful bright red flushes of beautiful bright red foliage, and it's really, really, really tough and really, really fast. If you give if you plant some, you know, reasonable sized plants, and give them plenty of water and fertilizer for the first year, you'll have them up as a 6-foot hedge in a year. And there's very few hedges that'll do that and do it really reliable without any bugs or problems. Not worried by frost, not worried by heat, not worried by poor soils.
Great. Next question is, when should I buy crepe myrtles?
I'd buy them now, and if you bought mature, sort of semi-mature ones now, gave them a really good trim and a good feed, you could be having lots of beautiful blossom this summer. But even if you're planting smaller ones, get them in now, give them a good feed, and get them set up and going for the summer.
Yeah. Next question is, have you ever dealt with crepe myrtle scale before? If so, what is the best remedy?
Crepe myrtle scale? Right, okay. So if that was an insect, I haven't dealt with that, but if that was an insect type scale, as I said before, something like Confidor or Conguard or Confidant would be the answer that would get rid of those scales. And if I had that problem, I would probably, if you've got the scale on them now, they're probably unconscious in the cold and not doing anything, so that it would be a waste to spray them now. But once they leafed up and started growing, perhaps in October, early November, I'd say you could, if you sprayed once and then sprayed again a month later, I'm sure you'd wipe them out.
Yeah.
And that would be Conguard, Confidor or Confidant, various brand names for the same basic chemical, used as per the instructions on the packet.
Yeah. Next question is, the best small trees that have non-invasive roots that won't crack concrete or driveway.
Okay. I always feel that the safest and best tree around is a Japanese maple, particularly like a grafted one, like, you know, like a smaller one like a Shana or even a Senkaki, a Atropurpureum, a Bloodgood. Any of those ones, they're really not big trees. They really don't have, and Japanese maples, I've dug up lots of old mature specimens, and compared to other trees, they don't have very big root systems. So I think Japanese maples in their various forms would have to be the safest tree in terms of roots.
Amazing. Next question is, what is the correct way to prune flowering plants without harming them?
You really couldn't generalize. You've really kind of got to go online and like I had a chap complaining to me yesterday how he'd bought hydrangeas and they weren't flowering, and what he didn't understand was that with hydrangeas they flower on the second year wood, or with most of the common hydrangea varieties they flower on the second year wood. And so if you give them a good hard prune every year, they've always got new first year wood, and they grow. And he said, look, they're growing terrific, but they're not flowering. So what I showed him that what he had to do each year, instead of shearing them all off, he had to cut off every second branch down low, and then let that branch grow for the next year, and that'll be next year's flowers, and the ones that he kept this year would be this year's flowers, and he had to just keep rotating it every year like that, and so he's going to have beautiful flowers there. But lots of other plants, given a good, like most of your cottage type, perennial type plants, if they flower in spring and you give them a good clip back after the flowers die and give them a feed, they'll sort of shoot right back and be flowering for late summer and autumn. So it really is a different approach to every plant, and so you really have to start looking them up on the internet and getting the information for each plant, or you'll be like this bloke who had beautiful hydrangeas that were growing like crazy and not flowering at all, and that was because of a wrong pruning technique.
Yeah. Next question is, how much should I trim back kangaroo paws and when?
Okay, so I normally wouldn't, but what what could be happening for people now is that they could have that black ink on the tip of their and their kangaroo paws could be looking a bit sickly and messy, and I would be waiting till the weather was a bit warmer, maybe like end of August, beginning of September, and I'd be taking off some of that awful black stuff that you get on them and cleaning them up a little bit, but not cutting them back too much. So I reckon late August, early September, I'd be cleaning them up and maybe putting a little bit of native Osmocote around them and kicking them off for a new season's growth.
Amazing. Next question is, let's see. Just waiting for some more comments to come in. We only have a couple minutes left, so if anyone has any questions they want to get in today, now is the time to comment. If you do find that you have any questions come up in the next couple of days, you're more than welcome to come into the nursery, call us or email us, or you can of course join our live next Monday, same time, same platforms. As I mentioned before at the start, we do this every single week, so you can keep coming here and keep learning more. All right, last question for today is, how much should I prune crepe myrtles?
Right, okay. I see lots and lots of crepe myrtles that never get pruned, and they seem to get scungy fine foliage on them and little kind of flowers and not too many of them. And as I walk the dog, I see a few keen gardeners that really prune their crepe myrtles properly. And in summer, those well-pruned crepe myrtles have large flowers and beautiful, lush, big foliage. So pruning crepe myrtles flower on new wood, so it seems to be that you prune them quite hard. Now, the best flowers I've seen, they prune off pretty much all of the really fine, wispy kind of wood, and they leave tips of branches that are more like the thickness of my finger, maybe my little finger or this finger here. So sort of finger thickness, and they look quite naked after they prune them. And I noticed that they prune them late July, early August, and then those same crepe myrtles put on beautiful lush growth and have lovely big flowers like this, whereas the ones that are unpruned are just sort of small flowers like my fist. So you seem to get good growth on them, you remove all the fine twiggy stuff and cut them off to sort of like little to middle finger thickness branches that and then give them a good feed and they're away next season, and that's how you get that plenty of food, plenty of water, and fast growth, and you get beautiful lush foliage and big flowers. So yeah, you prune them quite hard and you get rid of a lot of that fine material off them, and that fine material seems to give you a sort of fine foliage and just little tiny unimpressive flowers and not too many of them.
Amazing. Well, we're going to wrap it up there today. If you find you have any more questions coming up, please join our live, same time, same platform. Do you want to quickly tell them about our live sale this Friday just before we finish?
Okay, so join me 12 o'clock this Friday for our Grower Direct flash sale. And what happens is that we'll have about 100 different items on special. We'll have fabulous prices. And what we design the Grower Direct flash sale, we go to all the growers and we get their best deals that they're offering to us at the moment, and we put them up for sale nice and cheap. And we design it so that there's a big enough range of plants that you can pretty much do your whole garden on the cheap at the Grower Direct flash sale. But the exciting thing that's going to be happening this Friday is that if you and basically that sale will be on for a whole week. There's a Grower Direct flash sale which you could go to and join. Go to our website and join now, and that's last week's flash sale, and you can buy from that. But then you can buy from ours at the flash sale at 12 o'clock on Friday, or buy off the website. It stays up for the whole week. And it's designed so that people can go there and they can put their whole garden together. But the exciting thing will be happening now, which won't be happening later on in spring, is that we're going to give away a free weeping cherry, a $100 weeping cherry, pink or white, 5 foot or 6 foot, your choice, a $100 weeping cherry for free to anybody spending over $300. So it's an incentive that we put out there to get people gardening in the winter when they sort of otherwise might be tempted to stay inside. We're giving them an inducement to get them out and get them gardening, and I'm working at keeping my staff and my delivery vans busy during the cold weather. And basically we started this giveaway just last week, and this weekend was our busiest weekend in weeks, and almost everybody was demanding a free weeping cherry with their plants. And it's a great thing, because say you're struggling a bit and you're trying to put together a new garden for a new home or an old home, you can buy all the flowers and plants and get your big 6-foot feature tree for free. I mean, it's an amazing deal. And my goal is to give away maybe a couple of thousand of these weeping cherries and keep my staff and my vans busy right through the cold months.
Amazing. Well, we're going to wrap it up there for today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and we'll see you on Friday 12 p.m. for that live flash sale.
Right, thank you very much.